are just about to start the Science of Dragons show. And what do you think about my dragon? Who is it? Yes, it's Toothless. So we are going to be basing the show on the fantastic books written by Cressida Cowell called How to Train Your Dragon. And I'm just about to fly away, and then I'll come back and we're going to look at the science of flight. Woo! Here's the books. This one is all about how to speak Dragonese. Now, Cressida Cowell has her dragons doing some amazing things, but there's nothing in these books that mentions science or engineering. So I'm wondering, is it just magic she's using, or is she a secret scientist? So we're going to do some experiments and we're going to find out. First thing she does is she has her dragons flying. So here's a really nice little toy. Underneath the tail, there's a little handle that I can turn, and inside the body is an elastic band. And when I press this button, the wings flap up and down. But will it fly? So let's try this. Let's try this. Now, cover your faces. You never know. You never know if it's magic. It could come all the way. It could come all the way through the television and attack you. Here we go. Count with me. We're going to go from 3. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh. Well, he was flying, which was good, but then he hit something and fell down again. Now, not all of the birds and dragons, when they are flying, flap their wings. Some of them do this. Some of them glide. The magic of the camera. Do you know who this is? This is Toothless. He is the dragon of Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III, the hero of the story. And I love this toy because I can press its head and it's going to breathe out all the fire. Rah. Now, when we see the dragons doing this, they're not flapping their wings. What do we say that they're doing? And we see this with the birds. What's the weather like when we're seeing the birds moving like this? Woo! Not flapping their wings. Yes, it's gliding. I'm going to go back to the table. There was a scientist called Bernoulli, and he had studied flight, and he had looked at the shape of the wings of the birds, and he had noticed that they were curved. And he did lots of experiments, and he found out that when the air moves over the top of the wing, it goes faster. And that means the air can only push down with a small force. The air underneath is moving slower, so it has more opportunities to push upwards, and when it pushes upwards with a bigger force, the bird will fly. But we've always got to remember we have a pulling force down, a pulling force called gravity. So whenever we're going to get something to fly, and if it's just going to fly like this horizontal, then we have to have the pull down is going to be equaled by the push up. If the push up is bigger, then it's going to fly higher. And if the pulling down force is bigger, it's then going to come down to the earth. I'm going to blow over the top of this toilet roll. Let's see if I can get it to fly. Ready? Well, it's trying to move, but I don't think I've got a big enough breath, so I'm going to have to use one of my helpers. I'm going to use one of my dragons. And the fire type of this dragon is it's able to breathe out wind at such forces it blows everything over. In the book, whenever Cressida mentions fire types, it's not necessarily fire, it's anything that will help the dragons to attack and defend. Are you ready for this? I'm just going to get my dragon. 3, 2, 1. I'm back again. Here's my dragon. Say hello. This is Sally. And we're going to use a little bit of engineering to get her to breathe with a great force. Are we ready for this? 3, 2, 1. Love that. Do you know the name of this dragon? Yeah, this is Toothless. And what about this dragon here? This is Stormfly. And Stormfly has been a little bit sick and really doesn't have a lot of energy and is not flying at all at the moment. There are 2 twins in the story, Rough Nut and Tough Nut. And their dragon has got 2 heads. And one of the heads breathes out a gas and the other one has sparks. And it's supposed to ignite the gas whenever it's fighting. So I was wondering, could we use this science to get Stormfly to fly, to give her some energy? What I've got here is some of the gas that we would use as fuel for our lighters. And I'm going to collect some of it inside a syringe. And then I'm going to place it inside Stormfly. And she's going to be a very naughty dragon. What she's going to do is she's going to lift her leg up and yep, and she's going to release the gas. And when she does that, the other dragon's going to come in with a spark and ignite it, and hopefully Stormfly will fly. To make the spark, I've got a little device here, and when I press this button, a crystal gets squashed and it releases a spark. And hopefully that's going to be like the spark from Rough Nut and Tough Nut's dragon. Should we try this? Here we go. In goes the gas. Da, 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 da. Going to have to give it a little mix. 1, 2, 3. Stand back, everybody. Let's see Stormfly fly. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Goodness, the dragons are going to be so angry with me. I'm going to have to hide. Oh my word. That was a good one, wasn't it? To be able to explain how the dragons were able to breathe fire, in the story, Cressida wove a little tale. And Hiccup was about to fight a really big dragon. And this dragon won at that stage and it swallowed him. But luckily for Hiccup, that dragon had flown over the lands and had eaten a lot of Roman soldiers. And the Roman soldier, one of them, had used its spear and it got caught into the back of the throat of the dragon. And it caught Hiccup's coat. And Hiccup is hanging there in the mouth of this dragon. A very smelly mouth, because it had lots of food stuck in its teeth and it was rotten and it was disgusting. Now, while Hiccup was hanging there, he felt a little bit warm and he noticed that just beside him was a very small flame. And on the other side of the throat, there was another flame. And he went, aha! These dragons have small pilot lights in their throat. So when they breathe out the gas past those lights, we get that dragon's breath. For this to happen, Cressida had to know about the fire triangle. The fact that we need a fuel, we need oxygen, and we need heat energy. And we're going to use some of that science in this next set of experiments. I'm just going to move these out of the way. Cressida had her dragons making lots of different gases. And so what I've got here is I've got some vinegar, and inside this balloon I have got some baking soda. And if I very carefully put the balloon over and I lift it up, a chemical reaction takes place. We're making a gas, and that gas is changing the shape of the balloon. It's causing the balloon to expand and get bigger and bigger and bigger. What is this gas? Well, let's investigate it a little more. So what I have here then is, again, I've got the vinegar, and I'm going to put some vinegar into my jar. Whee! And then I'm going to put in some of my baking soda. So here's my baking soda. It's got a nice big lump, and it is fizzing. While I was getting my heat source, I also filled up a balloon with some gas. Now, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about flight, and maybe dragons can also make gases which are lighter than air. Ooh, see that one floating there? I'm just going to tie that there so it doesn't fly away. And what we're going to do then is we're going to ignite these gases. And to do this, I'm going to need some wood. So that's my wooden splint. I'm going to need a heat source, and let's see what happens. So first of all, this is my vinegar and my baking soda. Do you have vinegar and baking soda at home? You can make this gas. Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1. That was amazing, wasn't it? So let's try out this gas. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was rubbish. They're not the same. In fact, this gas, carbon dioxide, is a heavy gas. The other gas that I had in the floating balloon was called hydrogen, and it's one of the new fuels of the future. Watch this. We added our vinegar and we added our baking soda, and when I put this candle down, it goes out. How amazing was that? Carbon dioxide is a very heavy gas, and it flows downwards, and we can use it to put out fires. Wouldn't that be amazing to have a dragon that can make carbon dioxide, breathe it out, and if your house or boat is on fire, it can breathe on the boat and the house and put the fire out. And that's exactly what Cressida has with one of her dragons. What I have here is some yeast. This is going to be my other dragon, and I'm going to put in a liquid called hydrogen peroxide. It's very, very similar to water. It's made up of hydrogen and oxygen atoms, but it's got an extra oxygen. Water has 2 hydrogen, H2, and 1 oxygen, H2O. Hydrogen peroxide has 2 hydrogen, H2, and 2 oxygen, O2. Scientists are very lazy. So rather than write hydrogen, we use the letter H. What could we use for carbon? Yep, C, perfect. How about sulfur? S, perfect. Now, if I add the yeast to the hydrogen peroxide, there's going to be a very slow reaction. So while I'm waiting for that to react, I'm going to do another experiment. So my dragon is now creating a gas very slowly inside its tummy. What I've got here is the ship of raiders. Vikings love stealing things, and this tribe is coming to steal all of our sheep and all of our jewels. In the book, Cressida Cowell has a dragon called a grunkle. It's very small, and it's got very small wings, and it flaps them really fast like a hummingbird, and it eats rocks. And when it brings these rocks in, it gets into the spit, and then it starts to dissolve and releases a gas, which it then spits them out, and then it ignites them. And remember, it's got a little flame in its throat that allows it to ignite it. For us to do this, I'm going to need to get that ignition light. There we go. Can we train our dragon to fly down and blow the enemy ship out of the water? So we need some heat. Down comes my dragon. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Cressida Cowell, you're such a fantastic scientist. These rocks are called calcium carbide. And over 100 years ago, they would have used these rocks in the helmets for miners, for them to be able to see when they went underground, and in the headlamps of the cars. And maybe some of you have got a granny or a granddad or great granny or great granddad that actually owned a car that used the calcium carbide lamps, maybe on their bikes. That's something to find out. Right. This dragon here now has been making some gas. Now remember, these Vikings are very hungry. They've been training all day, and they're going to try to cook their dinner, but the fire's gone out. This dragon comes along. And the fire relights. Wow. Let's do that again. So we're going to put it in, and it relights. This gas is called oxygen. And oxygen is the gas that we need to have combustion. The wood is the fuel. We've got the glowing heat. We get the oxygen, and it relights. Now, one of Cressida's dragons can breathe fire underwater. Is this possible? Now, I love these cake flares, but they are extremely dangerous, because not only do they have a fuel, but they also have chemicals that release oxygen. And if I want to extinguish the flame, I can't. This will keep on burning and keep on burning until the whole chemical reaction has finished. But we do have a dragon that's breathing fire, and it was breathing fire underwater. Fireworks are very, very dangerous because of that chemical that's inside that releases the gas oxygen. So we cannot put a firework out once it's been lit. And Cressida Cowell must have known that science when she had her dragon breathing fire underwater. I love her. In Cressida's books, she has color-changing dragons. And so what I want us to do is I want us to see if we can create a color-changing dragon, and the colors are going to be based on emotions. So what color should we have for someone who's sad? Good color. I wonder if we can get that color. What about if somebody was jealous or envious? Call it out, call it out. Okay, that could be color number 2. Third color, happy. What's a happy color? Oh my goodness, I so hope I can make these colors that you're shouting at me. And the last color, angry. What color should that be? To do this, we are going to need a very special plant. It's called cabbage, but it's not a green cabbage. It is a purple cabbage. And we're going to put 1 teaspoon of the dried powder into a small sieve. If you don't have the dried powder, then you just need to chop up your cabbage and you're going to cook it for a few minutes, and then you're going to have exactly the same colored juice. Watch what happens. I'm going to pour some warm water here. So this is a job for the adults. And as it goes down through there, look, we get that lovely deep purple color. Now, the weird thing is, if we go shopping for this vegetable, the shopkeepers don't call it purple cabbage. They call it red, which leads me to believe that one of those colors that you've shouted at me, we're definitely going to be able to get. Now, this is very warm, so I'm going to leave that to cool down. And here's one that I made earlier. And I'm going to put it into 6 beakers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, those colors are quite weak, so I'm going to top it up with a freshly made cabbage. The chemicals I'm using are chemicals that I have in my kitchen cupboard. The first one is baking soda. Doesn't taste very nice, but we use it whenever we're baking, so it's safe for us to use. And if we have small ones amongst us, then at this stage, I think it would be very prudent to put on some safety glasses. Swimming goggles are good. Now, let's see what color we get. We could even do a bit of magic, abracadabra. So I'm going to pour it into there. Woo-hoo. So, did you all shout out blue for sad? Well done. Now this one here, this is washing soda. And we're going to put it into this one here. Oh, look, we've got green. Green for envy. Did you all say green? Why are we calling a purple cabbage red when we get blue and green? Let's try this one here. Now this is caustic soda. It is very dangerous. Only the adults in the house are allowed to use this one here, because if it goes on our hands and skin, it's going to burn us. So I'm going to use this at a distance, and I'm going to put it in. And oh, just like the washing soda, I've gone green. But keep looking at that color. It's very gradually changing. And what color did we have for happy? I'm happy. Did we get yellow? Look, we're getting yellow there. And some animals, when they change color, like a chameleon, they change quickly, and others will change really slowly. So we do have animals that share our planet with us that change color. Now, what I've got here, this is some acid. This is citric acid. If you don't have citric acid, don't worry. You can use vinegar, the clear vinegar. And just like vinegar, citric acid is very, very sour. And we get sweets called sours, and we think it's sugar, and then we put it in our mouth. Oh, and it turns our face inside out. So this is an acid. It's the opposite to these powders, which were called bases. Now that they're liquids, we call them alkalis. There we go, look. And this is why we call this red cabbage. Many years ago, we pickled it in vinegar. And when it went into the acid vinegar, it turned red. Now, what I have here is a liquid acid. It doesn't matter if it's a solid or a liquid, we still call it acid. It's only the alkalis that have a different name for solid. Solid, it's base. Liquid, it's an alkali. This acid here, like the caustic soda, is deadly. But you can't really tell the difference between the strengths of the acid with the cabbage. But you can definitely tell the difference with our alkalis. And we call chemicals which change color indicators. They let us know whether I've got an acid or an alkali, and in the alkalis, it lets me know the strengths. If I wanted to turn left or right, what would I switch on in my van? I know, we use exactly the same word, indicators. Right, what we're going to do then, if it's neutral, we get the purple colour. And I'm wondering, can I mix two chemicals together, one being acid, one being alkali, to go back to purple? 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Oh, and we can. And look, we also get bubbles. Yay, I love bubbles. And what we've got there is the chemistry behind a bath bomb. And we've now gone back to purple. So Cressida Cowell is a really good scientist, isn't she? I hope you enjoyed that one, because I did. Now let's move on to fuels. Ooh. Cressida has hundreds of different types of dragons, and quite a lot of them are breathing fire. And so what we've got here is we've got two gases. This is the fumes from ethanol alcohol. This is hydrogen. Another fuel that I've got here is petroleum spirit. So I'm going to be looking at that one in a minute. Another fuel, which is also a gas, is butane, and we will use that for our lighters. I'm just going to move these off of the table. I'll put those there. This is a little bit dangerous, so I am going to have to put on my safety glasses. And what we're looking at here is the fire triangle. And again, I'm going to need a fuel. Wood is a fuel. It's a solid fuel. And we're going to need oxygen. So everybody breathe in and breathe out. Oh, keep breathing, otherwise you'll die. Keep breathing. We're going to need heat energy and with fuel. So there's a fire. Now what I want to do is, if we can get this dragon here to breathe some fire, that will burst this balloon. That would be really awesome, wouldn't it? I'm going to step back. Let's have a countdown from 5. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cressida has another dragon called Typhimurus, and it is supposed to have a tornado flame. Let's see if we can get this to work. Now, tornado is going to be spinning, so I have an old potter's wheel here, and I'm going to get this to spin. I'm going to use a liquid fuel this time, and I'm going to pour it into my little dish. There we go. Take the fuel away from the table. And let's see if we can get it to become a tornado. 3, 2, 1. Well, it's not spinning yet, so let's get the plate spinning. Go a bit faster. Nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cage over it, which is going to hopefully get the air to spin in a tunnel. And then, look at this. Let's move that over a bit. Here we go. Wow, we've just made a fire tornado. And Cressida's dragon, it swoops down. It flies really fast, makes the air spin round, and then it swoops down again and breathes the fire into that tornado of air, and it creates a fire tornado. I'm going to do that again, but this time with the lights down. 3, 2, 1. Isn't that just so beautiful? We have created our very own fire tornado for Science Week. Happy Science Week, everybody. Wowee. Think I'd better put the lights back on again. 3, 2, 1. What I have here is a dragon. I've made my dragon out of how many balloons? 5 balloons. And I am going to join them together to form the shape of the toilet roll. Look at that. And I'm going to use, instead of the leaf blower, I'm going to use my hairdryer to blow the air over the curved shape. And what's really nice about these is if it does go over, it's going to hit the balloons and we will see the balloons start to spin. Well, I'm in a very small room, so what I'm going to try to do is get this working, my hairdryer working. I'm going to put it down onto a box, so hopefully we will see the dragon spin in here. You can do this. You can do this at home. If you don't have balloons that tie together, you can just use sellotape or double-sided stickers. It does exactly the same thing. Let's see if we can do some really amazing physics here. Well, that wasn't very successful. It was still too light and it was flying up to the ceiling. So I've added another balloon. Let's see if we make this a little bit heavier. Not too heavy because we don't want it to sink, but heavier so that it doesn't go up to the ceiling. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I'm going to put the hairdryer back on again. It's very noisy. Put it back onto the floor. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Woohoo! Physics is amazing! Can you see me? Can you see me? You can do this! Science! Oh my goodness! Bernoulli and Cressida, what amazing scientists they are! Hello! Let's switch this on. We're now going to put all of that science together to see if we can create our very own fire-breathing dragon. Please say hello to Norbert. Norbert is a very naughty dragon. He loves to fly down low, woo, all over the farmers' lands, and he eats all of their wheat and barley. And so what I've got here is I've got some crushed wheat and barley, and I'm going to feed it to Norbert. There we go. And the reason I've got it crushed is Norbert, inside his tummy, has rocks. They're very hot rocks, so it dries out all of the wheat and barley. And then when it wiggles its tummy like this, wiggle, 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 it crushes all of the wheat and barley into a powder. Now remember that in the throat of fire-breathing dragons, there are little pilot lights that will hopefully ignite anything that is flammable. I'd like to say thank you so much to Waterford Institute of Technology for booking me for Science Week. This is the very last demo. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful time playing. I'm Scientific Sue. This is Norbert. Let's have a countdown from 5. Let's go. 5, 4, 3,